In terms of asset quality, we think that it's a recognition issue rather than new issues coming through. And from a recognition perspective, we are very close to the end. The asset quality review or the divergences that came out now, we think that from a recognition perspective, we are coming to an end of that cycle.
But recognition isn't what really we are talking about right now. We are talking about speedy resolution, which is why the regulator is having daily conversations with all stakeholders to see what can be done best. So when you interact with banks, when you interact with other clients, what's the feeling that you get? Is there optimism or is there still a note of caution in your interaction?
I think there's still a note of caution. The primary driver for that is when we look at the stress in the banking system, a lot of it is accounted by large accounts. You have large quantums involved, multiple banks involved. So when you have so many parties to a transaction, it does take time to arrive at a consensus and go forward. Unfortunately, that's been one of the bigger problems that we've been facing. You know, while the NPA slippages have slowed down over the last couple of quarters, you know, barring Q4 where again we saw some slippages. But if you really look at FY17, quarter on quarter, sequential additions to gross NPLs have been coming down. So to an extent, we can say that we are reaching the bottom of the cycle. But the bigger problem is definitely on the resolution front. There, the pace is still slow. I mean, we probably need some more proactive measures over there, either the banks to take a haircut, possibly the government's regulation in the ordinance and giving more teeth to the regulators to sort of intervene and help sort out the problem could help. But we need to wait and see how does the overall contours come about and how soon does the resolutions happen.
So we agree that resolution is the elephant in the room that we are all trying to tackle at this point. But do we have ideas? We have the RBI, which has been given more powers to this end. In fact, RBI has had discussions with rating agencies as well. So what is the thinking? What role will rating agencies play towards the resolution problem going forward? Because that was something that was hinted at when Reserve Bank of India released an outline suggesting that it would give more powers to the rating agencies to participate in the overall solution problem.
Sure. I mean, I think the issue around resolution, I mean, as Karthik said earlier, these are complex assets, some of which are functioning, some of which are not functioning. So resolution is going to be a very bespoke solution. And around resolution, you need multiple things to come together. First, obviously the lenders, then the promoters' interest, and then you need some neutral parties to give you a fair assessment of the value of that asset, fair assessment of the status of that asset. This is where all these parties are thought to be brought together so that the resolution happens in the right manner as well. Otherwise, the burden on the banks is quite significant if they have to take a call on what's the right amount of haircut, what is the right amount of the process to be followed. So that's where the external agencies, if they all come together, the resolution process can be more meaningful as well.
So what does the regulator want from rating agencies? They've been discussing about active participation towards stressed asset resolution, wherein you would be given more powers as to participating overall. So what has your discussion been with the regulator to that end?
We're yet to hear from them in greater detail as to what the expectations are. So it'll be a bit premature to comment at this stage, but I would assume, you know, one of the issues that we've had in the banking sector in the past in terms of resolution has been possibly one has not quantified the restructuring packages in a more practical manner. Maybe one has not done it in the right way. So maybe external parties would be involved to assess to what extent a haircut needs to be taken, or what would be a sustainable kind of a debt levels for the organization to continue. But we yet to hear from regulators as to what exactly would the role of external parties be in such transactions.
Karthik, just to take that forward, recently rating agencies have been in the spotlight for not so good reasons. If you take the case of Reliance Communication, if you talk about Amtech Auto, there's been a lot of flack that rating agencies have been caught. In fact, critics say that you've been caught napping. How do you defend the role of rating agencies in this area?
I think from a from our point of view, we do our analysis. It's an outlook. Yes, there could be, it's not entirely up to the rating agencies to, some of it we do depend on data from various stakeholders, whether it is the borrower, lender, as well as investors. So there are certain inputs which we need from a lot of players. Analytically, yes, I mean, it is a challenge for in some of these companies to look at it. There are times when we do have to wait and watch how the event unfolds before we take any strong rating action, and there has to be a real logic to it. So while we are right in almost all the times, but there possibly could be few instances where one could have done otherwise.
Fair enough. Alka, what are the challenges in your role? Could you highlight for us some challenges that make it difficult to red flag an account when the time could be right, and perhaps that leads to a lapse which probably makes the problem more profound and more difficult to tackle?
See, I mean, I think as a rating provider or as an analyst, we have to be forward-looking. And obviously on a forward-looking basis, we do take some assumptions and we do have some expectations as well. So it's really the challenge that you're asking is to read the situation and to understand when there's a probability-based assumption that we would take, whether the probability is correct or not. So it's a very individual-driven topic, and clearly the challenges are to A, get that right kind of information, and B, to make that assessment. And clearly the assessment could come out sometimes wrong as well. Yeah.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/ETNow.